Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Corps studio. Welcome to the show. Okay, so Mark Rosewater, the head designer at Wizards, wants to hear from you. Maro, for those of you that know Maro nickname. Anyways, wants to hear from you. There was a post on Blogatog, actually a couple of posts on Blogatog. Let's jump into them and let's hear from you, the community, to see where you stand on this issue that has kind of been back and forth over the past couple of years. Let's jump into it on Blogatog. Again, Mark Rosewater's blog. Mark was asked, and I tend to try to highlight, because the Blogatog and just Tumblr in general can be kind of confused on who said what. I highlighted Mark's part. Okay, we'll get to that. Here we go. So, seeing the Wanderer just be another legendary creature in Duskmourn really hit home how much the desparking storyline was not a good choice. So, I do like how non-planeswalker characters can move between planes. That is a huge plus, but you don't have to despark any planeswalkers to do it. Now, the 100-pound gorilla in the room is Commander, and having your story focus on characters not be allowed to be Commanders is a massive problem. But the solution of just making the planeswalkers unspecial fix this Commander issue was just not a smart solution. I think the conception, most walkers weren't going to stay desparked, and I hope the feedback from the player base excels that story point to happen faster than planned. I also have to say that having one walker per set pretty much means you never see them in ladder on MTG Arena. There are some lists running 1 or 2 total in the more control list, but you don't see control every game, and they are 1 or 2 offs. So their representation in actual games are far less than you think. Functionally, it's kind of like Planeswalkers got deleted from the games I see on MTG Arena. One final note, I can't stress enough how much I love that other characters can now move between the planes and the many doors this opens up for card designs and stories. I am totally fine with that being the new norm going forward, but making Planeswalkers just another legendary creature was a total fail, in my opinion. And here's what's Mark's response was. Mark Rosewater, how do others feel about the desparking the majority of the Planeswalkers? About us desparking the majority of the Planeswalkers. So, asking the community, hey, all right, here's one opinion that has been, given to Mark, essentially, and how does everyone else feel about it? And this is one where it's a very personal opinion, I do think, but I do think that there are gameplay reasonings behind it. And yes, the person who asked this question did give their own kind of thoughts as to why this occurred, and I'm not saying that they're wrong on that. Like, yeah, the focus of design lately has been Commander, right or wrong, and with that, well, I mean, the main characters kind of previously being Planeswalkers, which can't be Commanders, and we'll talk about kind of Planeswalkers' role in Commander in general. Yeah, that does, I mean, obviously it influenced kind of the decision to despark Planeswalkers and kind of change like the narrative on that. So now the characters like the Wanderer can now be your Commander, whereas previously could not be because it was a Planeswalker essentially that didn't specifically say can be your Commander, which is a whole nother thing that we'll get into. Now with this kind of discussion going on, I think this is even more imperative these days with, well, Wizards now being in control of the format, because with that, well, one rule that I know Mark Rosewater, I believe, I guess I should go back to double check on this, but I believe Mark Rosewater was in favor of Planeswalkers being your Commander, but I could be wrong on that. But I know there are some people at Wizards that do believe that. And again, in overall, like, sure, okay, I can see again, if you are a big fan of Planeswalkers, of course, only getting 1 per set is a giant jump down, and we'll talk about kind of the exact numbers here in a little bit. Giant jump down for where it was. And again, not seeing them, as impactful in, formats on MTG Arena or formats outside of Commander. Again, functionally, it's kind of like Planeswalkers got deleted from the games I see on MTG Arena. Yeah, that's completely fair and probably happens. Because, again, when you're only getting 1 per set, if that's not incredibly impactful or sees a ton of playing all the decks out there, then yeah. That being said, it's interesting. And there's actually another post. We've seen a couple of posts lately about this moving forward, so you know that this is in the back of Wizards' mind in general, in something that they might change moving forward. Maybe they'll find a middle ground from where they were at an absurd number of Planeswalkers down to just 1 per set, now down to some kind of a middle ground. We shall see. So another Tumblr post, here we go, on Blogatog asked, can we increase the amount of Planeswalkers again? They were the characters that got me back into Magic. And Mark Rosewater responded, I highlighted that one for you. We are talking about it. So again, seeing that this discussion is going on is interesting because Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a drastic shift the exact opposite direction, where planeswalkers have been the face of Magic ever since, well, I left Magic when I was younger, essentially, and then all of a sudden planeswalkers were there, and I came back and I was like, what in the world is going on? What are these things? And we'll talk about how in formats that are maybe on MTG Arena, formats that are single player, planeswalkers, in my opinion, make a bit more sense, and that's completely fair, and everything should not be designed around Commander, and I definitely agree with that. Their reasoning for maybe making less planeswalkers, though, could be influenced by Commander in general, and just the planeswalker role in Commander, which is a bit of an odd one, because, well, it kind of has been argued that planeswalkers are kind of a design mistake in general, just because there's a ton of text there, a ton of different, well, decision points to make with each and every different planeswalker, essentially. So whether you're playing with the planeswalker or against the planeswalker, that increases the cognitive load of the game and also increases the amount of time played, just basically with this, I mean, pseudo enchantment that can be interacted with in combat in a way that has all these other decision points. And we have seen that Wizards has made different kinds of iterations on kind of what the concept of a planeswalker is, with things like sagas, with things like battles, with things like now rooms as well, kind of like a different kind of morphing of what a planeswalker is without it being a character necessarily. So again, seeing like, I mean, people have called like sagas like fixed planeswalkers in a way, because yeah, you're getting all those essentially different effects, but they are sequential. And again, it's not one, it's like, well, let me take time to figure out which one of these 4 things I need to use, and oh my goodness, what am I doing here with this one? Oh, I've got 5 planeswalkers in play, and there you go. Lots of decision points to be had, which again, is more fine in, say, a one-on-one scenario, especially on MTG Arena where you have, you know, the rope or whatever it's called, you know, where you have a certain amount of time to make your decision, versus multiplayer when it's like, yeah, how does everyone, you know about, you know, what each of these planeswalkers does, instead of rereading it every single time when you've got 3 players who each have different experiences in knowing every single effect on every single card. And then also you've got a Pillow Fort type strategy around planeswalkers where you just keep wiping the board again, and that's kind of the only way to really keep your planeswalkers around, because you've got 3 other players out there that could just swing at your planeswalker. So yeah, you've got 3 times as much kind of risk to getting a planeswalker in play, essentially. Yeah, kind of, that's the weird thing again, where planeswalkers make more sense in platforms and formats outside of Commander typically, and to give that focus on Commander, planeswalkers have been pushed to the wayside. So let's just see kind of where planeswalkers are at right now, just like numbers wise. Again, I just went through and did on Scryfall, love Scryfall. If you've never used it before, you're missing out, it's amazing. Type planeswalker, not reprint, and then sorted by release date, so we can see the most recent planeswalkers, and kind of again, this like 1 per set in what we are seeing right now versus previously. Kaido was R1 from the last set, Ral before that in Bloomburrow. And then we got, okay, we did get like 5, and there are these like different weird things where sometimes, again, outside of like your standard sets, like Modern Horizons 3, you got 5 different ones, but again, they are all like, hey, flipwalkers, which are kind of like a quote-unquote more acceptable version in Commander, because like they are a creature that can start in the command zone, then that flips as a planeswalker. So that's kind of the not more accepted version, I should say, but it fits within Commander's rule set as it is without even needing the can be your Commander thing. Previously, again, as a Thunder Junction, we got Jace Reawakened. That one, though, I believe was like, see, because we did get 2 in that set technically, but I believe that was like they had that like additional like Aftermath type set that they just had to shove into the actual set, because they're like, people got upset with Aftermath, so it's in there. I believe, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's how that one went down. Oko, again, in that one as well. Murrow's a Call Out Manor. We got Kaya. And again, as you see, like, just like each of these, like, if you just even look at just like the symbol on it, like each of these symbols is different sequentially. So yeah, we only got so many per set. Commander Masters, again, a different beast when you have like a master set, when you have a Commander product itself potentially. So yeah, you are going to see kind of different ones. I mean, we had one that flipped essentially as that. But yeah, we have seen less and less and less recently. And obviously, like the, March of the Machine and all, like, before, like, the desparking, that's kind of like, we had, like, a glut of planeswalkers in there, right? We had a ton, and just look at the symbols, right? A ton of the exact same symbol, and then all of a sudden, with each set moving forward, after, master sets and that kind of stuff, one and a half, I'll say, because that one was, again, like, an additional, like, Aftermath thing, again. These are from Modern, and then they got 1/1. So yeah, again, you are seeing that like they have decreased from quite a few insets down to just one. And again, if you're a big fan of Planeswalkers, I can see why that can be very frustrating, obviously, especially if that's something that got you back into Magic and excited about Magic. Personally, it was never something that really excited me about Magic, and I don't personally like the design space of Planeswalkers, which actually that's another reason that they have mentioned too in the past that like the design space of Planeswalkers is somewhat limited, and that if you want to have an effective one, like typically, like I mean the joke is, right, your plus is like, okay, get me something to protect my Planeswalker, kind of like Ral Clackling Wit. Cool, okay, I make a 1/1. It could block to save it. The second one's like some kind of a value, and then the third one is, okay, the ultimate, I win. Yeah, so basically that's kind of like the design space, and when you are designing in that way, you are limited in what you can do, and you run out of ideas if you are just doing the same thing again and again and again. So I can see why there are, again, benefits to move to just 1%. You can make a very focused one where you can do some exciting things that really play into what that set is, flavor and function. But then obviously, if you're a big fan of a lot of Planeswalkers and you want to see them on MTG Arena and other formats, then you're going to be a little bit disappointed because you're not going to get these over-the-top ones all the time that do kind of break into that mold. So, again, when it comes to where Planeswalkers are at in general, yeah, there's not nearly as many lately. The discussion has been going on where Wizards is definitely considering moving back up. Now, where do they move back up to? Is it going to be 2, 3 Planeswalkers per set? Is it going to be, again, a variable amount still, but like definitely higher than 1? Are we going to see like those big splashes of a ton of, again, we saw in Modern Horizons 3, like we had 5, but there were Flipwalkers. That's a bit different. Again, that's like more commander specific focus where it's like, hey, they can be your commander to start. So seeing that, moving forward, where are we going to end up with them? I mean, I don't think we're going to end up with, again, like 10% or whatever, like a ton. We're not going to see a ton. I mean, like, it was on average around, it was like 5 or so. It was crazy. Not way back when, but back then it was a little crazy where you're getting like a ton per set because that's a lot of design space. That being said, it's probably going to be more than 1. There is going to be a push back up a little bit, I believe. Again, when it comes to like its impact on Commander, like there are so many cards that are getting printed specifically for Commander. It really isn't a big deal to say like, okay, yeah, make more Planeswalkers. And it's kind of interesting because like I feel like Super Friends decks used to be a bit more popular than they are now. Let's take a quick look at this. And this surprised me actually when you go onto EDH Rec and you just sort by essentially I think they have it under tags now versus like themes, but still. And you have these different kinds of decks. So let's just look at kind of, these are the most popular types of decks out there right now. Artifacts, treasures, life gain, that's 1, 2, 3. Then we got tokens, counters, equipment, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24. That's the 24th most popular strategy out there, according to EDH Rec, is Planeswalkers. In general, it definitely, I mean, from what I remember, it used to be higher, and again, it just kind of speaks to like some of the potentially problematic things about playing a Planeswalker specific deck in general, that, yeah, you're heavily incentivized to get a ton of Planeswalkers in play and protect them. And to do that, you probably need to wipe the board in Pellowfort quite a bit, which many players out there don't necessarily like if you just keep Wrath of Godding the board again and again and again. And I definitely learned that lesson a long, long time ago with my Selenia Dark Angel deck, which was heavily incentivized to run 15 plus board wipes. That being said, you can definitely build Planeswalkers in a more casual way as well, and more kind of like politic, like make deals so players don't attack your Planeswalkers. When it comes to Planeswalkers overall and like what popular commanders are out there that are actually Planeswalkers, I'm not talking about Flipwalkers necessarily, but ones that are just straight up Planeswalkers, because you gotta believe Wizards is having that discussion of like, hey, if we, increase the amount of Planeswalkers again, do we change that rule in Commander where we say Planeswalkers can be commanders in general? I don't know. Or do they start bringing back, more can be your commander as Planeswalkers? When we look at like the most popular commanders out there, Planeswalkers don't typically tend to be anywhere near up there. Like 91 is the highest that they get right now. Lord Windgrace used to be more popular. But yeah, 91 is as high as we go with Planeswalkers right now with Lord of Windgrace up there. And then after that, if I did my research correctly, Amanatu the Fate Shifter, going all the way down to 168. I don't know if we even saw one up until 200 after that. So like, out of the top 200 or so commanders, only 2 of them are Planeswalkers, which kind of shows you that like, yeah, Planeswalkers aren't really that big of a thing in Commander. Like it or not, they just aren't. I mean, one of the most popular planeswalkers out there in Commander is what, like Narset, just because it can shut down, and not because like of its actual ability, it's just because it's like, hey, opponents can't draw more than one card each turn. It's a brutally effective card when it comes to working against, well, drawing cards. If you wheel, you just win with that in play. So again, like, what planeswalkers are really good for in Commander might not be what they were designed for. Again, like, they weren't initially designed by having, you know, these static abilities on them, and now, like, you start seeing more and more static abilities on them because, like, they're basically kind of just acting like an enchantment in a way. And again, we're seeing other types of enchantments these days, like, again, or I mean, different kinds of cards that are kind of like that planeswalker adjacent, like sagas, battles in a way, kind of, and yeah, now rooms as well. So just kind of interesting. I mean, if we just look at EDHREC rank really quick, I believe we're probably going to see, yeah, Narset, there you go. Narset is the number 1, and literally it is just a static effect. So it kind of shows you just like what the priority, I mean, like literally one out of the top 3, we see 3 planeswalkers that literally just have a static effect on them. Elspeth is the only one that doesn't. So, and that is like literally just throw it down and it's a board wipe, essentially, right away. And token production and whatever. But yes, like you see that the planeswalkers that do see play are kind of like, again, the newer style of planeswalker where it has an effect. That's what it is. It's not just the pluses and minuses. Again, with Narset, you're like never going to -2 at a certain point potentially because you just want to keep it in play because that's all it's there for. Other ones like, again, Jace, number 5, also, again, with a static effect right there. So, again, out of the top 5, 4 of them are static effect planeswalkers. So it just kind of shows what the design direction moving forward might need to be for these to kind of live in the world of Commander and also other formats. And again, I don't know if that's a good direction because I don't know if, again, like planeswalkers don't necessarily have to live in the world of Commander and other formats as well. Again, they're going to be more impactful in other formats and they're going to, yeah, just be more, not accepted, I guess I should say, but planeswalkers aren't ever going to be the biggest thing in Commander. They just aren't. Whether or not Wizards wants that, and maybe they did want it at some point, because again, it is like it is their franchise, right? We've got, okay, like these iconic characters, and the most iconic ones are planeswalkers. But with your most, you know, popular format now being Commander, it's not going to be that way. So I think, yeah, they thought of like, okay, let's despark the planeswalkers and let's make those characters become Commander eligible. It was an interesting decision. I'm not saying that I was against it because, like, yeah, I'm personally, like, I'm fine not having a lot of planeswalkers in sets, being someone who doesn't really play them ever, and I don't necessarily playing, like, against an entire, like, Super Friends deck because it kind of takes forever at a certain point, and again, if it's built in an efficient way, then, yeah, they're going to be a bunch of board wipes to protect their board, essentially, so, and I can't fault them for that, but, yeah, I don't want to play necessarily against a 15 board wipe deck, which I learned again from my Selenia deck years and years and years ago. So, overall, again, I think the big question on everyone's mind is like, hey, are they going to increase the planeswalkers again? Should they increase the planeswalkers again? And again, the fact that it's being talked about right now versus the fact that it's being talked about versus them saying that we are going to, and maybe they're just kind of holding things close to their chest because they don't want, you know, blowback in one way or the other. Again, decisions when it comes to making things in Magic, it's like 2-3 years out from like their design and their figuring out what things, except for changing Nadu apparently, but yeah, their design and their vision of the format moving forward, these sets moving forward, these things are planned so far in advance that, again, if they're making a decision to adjust the amount of planeswalkers, that's a knob that they can turn. That's a knob that's going to turn quite slowly and not be adjusted most likely for a couple of years. So, yeah, do I think that the number of planeswalkers is going to increase? Yes, I definitely think that it's going to. I think that the feedback they've got from certain loud voices in the community, and I mean, there's definitely a lot of players out there that do very much enjoy planeswalkers, enjoy that aspect of Magic. I think that it's less so in Commander than other formats. That being said, Wizards shouldn't be just dedicating all their resources to making Commander players happy, which, you know, might seem controversial for a Commander player to say that, but no, that's not. I think a healthy ecosystem for all Magic players, no matter what format you're playing, is very important. And yeah, I don't necessarily like that everything is so Commander focused that you get these cards that are just hyper focused to be good in Commander and that really change up a lot of things for a perpetual format. Now, again, there's like a couple different branches of this question. One is, are they going to increase them? I believe they are. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Do you think that they're going to increase the number of planeswalkers moving forward? Do you want the number of planeswalkers increased to be moving forward? That being said, Another question could be, hey, do you think that they're going to like undo the desparking in a way? Like, are there going to be a lot of planeswalkers that were desparked, like somehow gain their sparks back? Could that be like an entire like storyline in like a certain set where like planeswalkers are getting their sparks back in one way or another? Could that be part of it as well? Maybe. We shall see kind of with that. Another question again is, hey, how does this play into like commanders in general? Are we going to see, again, Wizards move more so towards like can be your commander? Or, and I guess I should just ask a question first to give my opinion on it, like just open it up and say like all planeswalkers can be your commanders because we're in charge now and that's what we want. And then you might see more planeswalkers in sets moving forward because of that as well. So all of those questions, I think it's a good discussion to have right now because, again, things are pretty up in the air. Like it's the wild, wild west right now when it comes to what decisions are being made and what possibilities there are moving forward because it's a new era of Magic, like it or not. And yeah, I do think that we are going to see some changes with a lot of things, and Planeswalkers are going to be one of them. Again, when it comes to popular Planeswalkers in Commander, you see the... Yeah, again, what I say, 4 of the top 5 have those just like inherent effects instead of like their, +1s or minuses or whatever. It's just like a static effect. That's why the Planeswalker is in the deck, because of the static effect. Okay. So we shall see kind of where this all plays out. Do we see can be your commander? Do we just see a rule change? I really hope not, personally, as someone who doesn't necessarily enjoy playing against just Planeswalker-specific decks, because, again, of the points that I brought up, that to be effective in Commander, you kind of need to wipe the board quite a bit to protect your Commander, because, like, unlike any other Commander, really, again, if you have a Commander outside of, like, Grothama, you can't just attack someone's Commander. You can't just be like, I don't like that your Urza's on the board. I attack it. No, that's not how this works. I mean, except for Urza Planeswalker, but that's not how this works. You can attack again, say a Commander Planeswalker like Lord Windgrace, and again, if everyone else is on the same page to do that, Lord Windgrace is going to get taken care of, unless that player keeps wiping the board and Pelifording a ton. So we shall see where this all ends up. Again, at the end of the day, questions for you to answer in the comments below, please. Do you think the number of Planeswalkers is going to increase moving forward? And again, when I say moving forward, I mean like 2 to 3 years, not like immediately next set. Oh my gosh, it's only 1? I'm surprised. No, you probably shouldn't be surprised because they make decisions way far in advance, so changing things takes a while. So do you think that they should? Do you think they should increase Planeswalkers? Do you think they will increase Planeswalkers? Do you think a desparking will occur? Do you think that there is going to be a rule change in Commander regarding Planeswalkers? Let me know about all these in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. A lot of great discussions have been happening around many of these great questions we've been getting lately from many of you out there in the community, especially these questions. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.